Hello, hello, and welcome back. I'm KJ Aiello. I'm a writer, amateur gamer, reader, lover of all things fantasy. My debut book is coming out next year, and it's basically a critique of all things fantasy because I have a lot to say about fantasy things, and that includes books, films, TV, gaming, TTRPGs, you name it. I critique it. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it all. Glad to see you again. This is my writerly take on Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
My son, you're old enough now. My father's spear holds a certain burden, but you're ready.
Now, for pretty much, I don't know, almost like a year and a half, I was super obsessed with this game. So, my journey with video gaming has actually been fairly new, but it was, I think, the very beginning of 2021 when the pandemic was still like really bad. We were almost in lockdown still, and I was so depressed. So I decided to buy an Xbox. So I did, and I was like, why am I doing this? I have no idea. Like, I'd never played games really since I was like a kid, and I did it. I'd heard of Assassin's Creed before, but I saw Odyssey there and I thought, you know what, that seems kind of cool because I love ancient Greek mythology. It's like I love Greece. I've been to Greece. I love the way the characters, how they came across, like Cassandra and Alexios. And I was like, you know what, this is an open world RPG I think I can sink my teeth into. Basically, avoid all life problems and not have to worry about the fact that the world is basically a burning dumpster fire. You know, stuff like that. I think that my perspective is a bit of a unique perspective because I've never really played video games much before. So I do have this fresh, unadulterated, yes, you Assassin's Creed fans out there, completely unadulterated opinion on this game. Plus, I'm a writer. I know plot structure, I know characters, I know writing. So how does Assassin's Creed Odyssey weigh in the writerly world? So, in case you've been living under the same cozy rock as I have for the past, I don't know how many, 15 years that Ubisoft has had Assassin's Creed, Odyssey came out in 2018. Yes, it came out in 2018, hot off the heels of Origins, came out in 2017, which was a complete departure from the traditional sort of like a game format setting of Assassin's Creed, and that was a lot of stealth kill, a lot of parkouring. The Hidden Blade had a lot of impact in the game as well. So Origins started to depart from that a little bit, and the world really opened up. We're talking like open world is like doesn't even cover it; just got really, really big, and a lot more hand-to-hand combat, which I kind of get the sense that fans are not a fan of. I mean, it's like total smackdown basically in comment sections. And then they came out with Odyssey, which is the story of you can either play one of two siblings, Cassandra or Alexios. Now, Cassandra later on was then named the canon character because I think Ubisoft was starting to get into some hot water about never having a female lead character, which fair enough. So you can either choose to play Cassandra or Alexios, and the other character will then become Demos, who is like one of the main antagonists of the game. And you are, I think it's 431 BCE, ancient Greece. We're talking Socrates, Pericles, the height of Athenian democracy, the very beginning of the Peloponnesian War. We have some juicy material to work with here. And as a writer, that is already a really, really rich world to sink your teeth into. So naturally, I was like, well, yeah, sign me up. So I probably spent months where every day I would play this game for numerous hours. It was like, what was I doing? I made like a butt dip shape in my couch. It was fabulous. So I got to know this a little bit, and then my writerly brain really started to kick in and going, okay, why do I like this game so much, and why is everyone else so cheesed about it? So here's my breakdown. Alexios / Cassandra, they're great characters. When we're talking a main protagonist who we need to feel empathy for, who we need to be able to see ourselves in, and who we want to root for, who is also very flawed, Cassandra and Alexios pretty much like they check all the requirements on the list. I prefer Alexios because I think his humor, he's a dolt. He's an idiot. I love it so much. He carries off the humor a little bit better, I think, than Cassandra does. I do think that the voice actor for Cassandra, I think she's a better actor overall, but I prefer Alexios. His humor, chef's kiss. So good.
On this island, it's allowed to say that word!
Did he say Cyclops?
Did it hurt your feelings?
But the thing about these characters, and I'm going to talk about Alexios because I've played mostly Alexios and I have played Cassandra right to the end of the game before. Yes, I have finished this game too many times. So what makes Alexios so compelling, so easy actually for writers too, like from a writerly perspective, is that he has unresolved issues, basically, like some pretty big daddy issues. His family torn apart when I think he was probably like 10 or 11 years old. His father tried to kill him. Again, like it was Spartan law, but still, like you don't toss your kid off a cliff. Lost his mother, was cast out of Sparta at such a young age, and then basically found a little rickety boat, sailed to Kefalonia, which is probably like 2,000 miles away, and was found by this, I don't even really know what Marcos is. Marcos is like, you know, your kind of slimy uncle who's like, hey, I got this great business idea. All I need is $1,000 from you. That's Marcos, okay? But Marcos is still a loving character, but he's a douche caboose. Like, let's be real.
How about we make a deal? I do something for you. You do a few things for me. Everybody wins.
There's a lot of material that the writers can work from, and they do. They pull a lot of backstory to be able to have different plot points throughout the entirety of the game. And it's a big game. Alexios has such a rich personality. He can be such an idiot, but sometimes he plays on being an idiot. His sarcasm comes through, his emotions. I mean, since I bought my Xbox, I've also bought a Nintendo Switch, and I've been playing some games on PC. So I've been playing other games, and I do think that Alexios's emotional range is pretty impressive. I feel sucked into him, and he has conflicts, both interior and exterior, that are already set up. Well, if you think of a novel, your main character has to have interior conflict and exterior conflict. Exterior conflict is conflict that is happening outside of Alexios or outside of your main character's sort of like psyche and how they feel about themselves and their place in the world. And it's basically, it could be like, person against nature, person against other person. So in this game, it's basically Alexios or Cassandra against the cult of Cosmos, Snake Lake, whatever it is that they do. They're like the deep state. They're like the deep state of ancient Greece, which is really messed up. And you think of it too, like going forward too, they end up becoming the Templars, and then that ends up becoming Abstergo. Like they are the deep state. Like this is what I'm saying here, which is actually really cool now that I think about it. So now you know what exterior conflict is. Interior conflict, what is in the person's interiority or their psyche or their sense of self and the sense of the world that is holding them back. What is it they're feeling conflicted about? Maybe it's how they perceive themselves and what they are capable of doing. Maybe it's that they are so cozy in their one little nook of the world and they don't want to be forced to leave. They don't ever want to leave that little nook of the world, but lo and behold, they are forced to leave that nook in the world, and therefore you have your commencement of hero's journey, right? So Alexios does have some interior conflict insofar as he has unresolved family issues. The next part is the plot structure. It's actually pretty good when you think about it. Now I'm talking about the main plot arc in order to get to save Deimos or to kill Deimos and to bring down the cult of Cosmos. And I'm not talking about killing all of the cultists, but basically like if you get Deimos back on your side, that is basically the main conflict, the main plot of the story. That seems really simple, right? Like, is it oversimple? Well, maybe it is, but it works really, really well. Something as simple as that allows for a lot of flexibility and a lot of variation within the actual game, within the actual story. But here's the thing about the interior conflict, and I'm talking about in that main plot structure where Alexios is basically like on the hunt to find his family and get Deimos back, right? Reunite his family. That interior conflict is entirely your choice as the gamer. And this is almost like, I guess it's like a choose your own adventure. And this is kind of what Ubisoft tried to do. But everything that was interior conflict ended up becoming the player's choice. If you think of when Alexios finally confronts the wolf, he finally confronts, the hell's his name? I've played this game so many times. Nikolaos of Sparta. I can't believe I forgot his name. Nikolaos of Sparta. When Alexios finally finds his daddy, you get a choice whether you're going to kill him or not. Are you going to give into that interior conflict and say, you know what, fuck you, dad, like you threw me off a cliff, I hate you so much? Or, you know what, maybe I won't kill him. Like maybe let's see how this plays out, right? So that interior conflict is yours. And going a little later on, whatever it is you decide to do with Nikolaos is he tells you that he's not really your real daddy. It's like, oh, another. So that's another of the conflicts, the interior conflicts then that Alexios has is going to find his real father. It's just his biological father, because technically Nikolaos did raise him until he decided to throw him off a cliff, but details. But whatever you choose, if you do choose to play out that, that Odyssey is what they call it, that actually opens up for one of the DLCs, the downloadable content, and that's the Fate of Atlantis, which is like totally worth it. I'm dead serious, it's really worth it. It's so much fun. And then the last interior conflict is, are you going to give up on Demos, your sister or brother, or not? They're so far gone. They were basically raised as an infant by this toxic, manipulative, abusive cult and this cultist. Demos is so filled with hate and rage that it's hard to see through that and to fight for it. Are you going to let Demos go? Basically, like, are you going to kill them? Or are you going to fight for them and try and put your family back together? And that choice you make also determines whether your mommy lives or dies. So that's what a lot of the interior conflict ends up becoming the player's choice, which I think is really cool, to be honest, because if we look at the exterior conflict, the player doesn't really get any choice over that. Like, you don't get a choice whether the Cult of Cosmos and who is like the leader of the Cult of Cosmos, whether they exist or not, or whether they're hunting you down or not, because they do, and they are hunting you down. Otherwise, there would be no game. Let's be real. And you know what? That's part of the thing too, is that all the choice is yours, because really that feeds into our narcissism. The characters are good. The character writing, the dialogue is actually really fun. And that includes the NPCs. You look at, characters like Socrates. I mean, let's be real. Socrates is like a drier than expired Melba toast. He is just so boring. But Alexios plays on that a little bit, like some of his rejoinders, his comebacks to, Socrates spinning these circles and constantly like rhetorical questions, and what, is actually, it's Socratic dialogue. It's to make you think more and more and more. And this is what philosophers do. And it's like, oh, and Alexios is like, I can't. That actually works really well to draw you into the story and to make you root for Alexios, because he's literally saying like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because you are like, I also have no idea what you're talking about, because to be real, if you have ever read any of Socrates' work, you're probably going, I have no idea what you're talking about, because I don't think we were meant to know. You also think of other characters like Alcibiades. Like there's no one else like Alcibiades. He was so fun. But did you know that in real life, the real life Alcibiades was a bit of a backstabber? He was not so cool. And Marcos, he's an idiot. He is a douche. He's just so stupid. He is dumber than a bag of nails, but man, you still love him. He's a good character. And overall, this world, this is such a big, epic world. And that's also been one of the criticisms for this game, is that the world is too big. And I actually don't think it is too big, to be honest. I think it's just, if you're expecting an Assassin's Creed game, the world, is too big, because it's not an Assassin's Creed game. I think we can all of us agree on that, even the ones living under a rock, under a rock, my rock. Are you living under my rock? It's not an Assassin's Creed game. It's like a prologue to Assassin's Creed. Let's just think of it that way. But the world is gorgeous, and it's so lush. There's, the source material is already written for them. So that was pretty easy. But what Ubisoft also did was they put in such amazing research into this story, is that everything from the clothing, the ancient Greek, it's not Greek, it's ancient Greek they speak, to like the amphoras and all the pottery and all the details, it's just, in the murals and the walls, everything is just so meticulously thought of. It's carefully constructed, that this world is just, honestly, I have just spent hours just wandering around. And I think that's also the point too, is that you can just kind of get lost in it and wander around and explore on your own. And I also love that they did pull from history, like historical characters, and they just peppered them in there. So many characters they peppered in, like little Easter eggs to So from a writer lead perspective, again, going back to what we're talking about here, the main plot structure, it follows a traditional 3 beats. Beat 1 is from the beginning of the game to when Alexios or Cassandra leaves Kefalonia, makes the decision to leave Kefalonia. That's a pretty book-ended beat 1 because it's from the beginning of the game to basically you get your opening credits, your Assassin's Creed opening credits. So you know very clearly that's a beat. And you can actually spend a lot of time. You can get up to like level 9 or 10 before you actually leave the island. And quite frankly, you probably should, even though it's like the level up system in this game is so annoying. Beat 2 is right up until when Phoebe dies. And then beat 3 is the last fight for Demos, and the culmination of the whole, finding my family story, the main plot line. And, you can, and I'm not including the hunt for the cult of Cosmos, the cultists, because those are they don't follow any structure. It's just basically whenever you find them, and a lot of them are side quests. So that's not really a main structural plot. So let's get to Phoebe. I love Phoebe. She is just such a breath of fresh air. And we know that this is a pretty, depressing world that Alexios lives in. Like, people are dying of the plague left and right. The people died at 32 on average. It's so we have Phoebe, who is in Alexios's life, and Alexios is basically an orphan. He's got, the only person who raised him was Marcos, and let's be real, raising is a pretty loose term when it comes to that. He basically used him as, a street kid to help him with various, under the table tasks. It's not a great upbringing. But we have Phoebe, who is a stand-in for what Alexios lost. Alexios lost a little sibling, right? Alexios lost his whole family, but he also lost his little sibling, his little sister. This is another reason why I like Alexios better than Cassandra, because I feel like the bond between Alexios and Phoebe feels stronger than the bond between Cassandra and Phoebe. So Phoebe is a stand-in. Phoebe is like the hope for Alexios. She is his family, and he loves her so deeply, and he wants to look after her, and he wants her to be safe, and she looks up to him so much and absolutely adores him, all of his flaws and all. And he's got flaws. I mean, he's also a bit of a snack. With Phoebe still in the picture, Alexios technically does have a family. He could always lean back to that and not continue on with this quest to put his original family back together, because to be honest, that would kind of where would Phoebe be in his life? What place would she have in his life if he had then had, his mom, dad, and Cassandra back? Where would Phoebe be?
Are you all right?
It wasn't so bad. Last time they put a cloth in my mouth so I'd stop biting.
Phoebe, just be careful. You're alone now since
Since my parents died, I'm okay. I've got you, and you've got me and Marcos. We're your family, right?
So Phoebe needs to die. I can't believe I just said that. Phoebe dying forces Alexios to say, fuck you, cultists. I am coming after you, and I am going to find my sister. I am going to find my family, and I'm going to put them back together, and we are all going to fight you. Phoebe is the catalyst, the emotional, the interior, the exterior catalyst for Alexios moving forward. Otherwise, it's just not as compelling. It's just not as strong. Because Alexios, at the end of the day, he really is a reluctant hero. He doesn't want to have to do all this. He even says, I'm so tired of this. At the very beginning and at the very end.
I can't keep doing this.
So it would have been much easier to find a safe place, say on Kefalonia, and just chill with his adopted little sister, Phoebe. But because Phoebe dies, he now has no home, because Phoebe won't be there. So that was pretty smart. I don't know if the Ubisoft writers intended that, but I think that was pretty smart writing. And that, from a writer's perspective, I think that was well done. It makes sense. Kill your darlings. Phoebe. And I think I definitely agree with a lot of the criticism out there that the side quests are just so redundant and boring. It's like, oh, I need somebody assassinated. Can you go do it? Oh, yes, I will. And then you run off and you do something, and then you come back and you get your reward, and you're like, oh, thanks for 500 drachmae, when it really cost me 2,500 to upgrade my sword. All of the weapons upgrade every 10 minutes. It's just it's a little overwhelming, and the side quests can be kind of boring. There are some side quests that are super fun, but for the most part, once you finish your main, your main storylines, there's a couple of the main storylines. Once you finish them, the side quests are like, but it's also to keep you in the game too. They want you to stay there because they also probably want you to spend more money on some really cool threads and weapons and stuff. But I may have done that a few times. Whatever. I'm a grown up. I can make my own decisions. But here's why I think this game has ruffled so many feathers, and why I think Ubisoft lost a lot of credibility in the Assassin's Creed world and really let down the Assassin's Creed fans. It's because it's not an Assassin's Creed game. It's not. It's not at all. I've played most of the other Assassin's Creed games by now, and the feel is completely different. So I do think that a lot of those diehard fans who have been sticking around at that point, I think it was like 12, 13 years, really felt so betrayed. It's just so terrible. I mean, it's a gorgeous game, but I think at that point, once you're like, this is not what I remember, this is not going back to what I loved, all of the little teeny tiny flaws then just start to become so big for you because you just feel betrayed. And it's not cheap either. The games are expensive. Let's be real. When they first come out, they're hella expensive. And Ubisoft is they're pre-selling. They were pre-selling Mirage before they even had a final release date for it. They were pre-selling, the exclusive edition. So you got to give them what they want. And I think that is definitely where Ubisoft went off the rails. And I think that's why people are so pissed with the game. And there are a lot of people who are. But the people who I find really enjoy the game the most, still enjoy it, are the ones who are not necessarily loyal to the Assassin's Creed franchise. And I think that's probably the best way to be going into any game. If it's a series game, cash cow like Assassin's Creed, or, your Final Fantasy or your Zeldas, with each game, clear your expectations, because maybe the developer actually is going to try something new that if you have an open mind, you might actually really enjoy. And quite frankly, I really enjoyed Odyssey. It saved me through some really shitty months in the pandemic. The game is and it actually helped me get back to my creativity. All those hours playing and wandering around, just like these beautiful landscapes, downloading the DLCs because Mama's gotta have it, take my money. Going to the underworld and Atlantis, and I always forget what it's called, the place where Persephone lives. Elysium. Like, it was just, I started to think about storylines and plot structures and worlds in my own head. And I started writing again after quite some time. It felt really good, and it helped pull me out of depression, to be honest. Well, maybe not pull me out of depression. So this is my take on Assassin's Creed Odyssey from a writer's perspective in 2023. Yes, I realize it's 5 years old now, but to be honest, the game lives up. So let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the below. Leaving them in the underside, the upside down comments in the upside down, and I will get them. Leave them in the description below. No, I am writing the description. I need to stop having hot flash. Leave your comments down below. Haha! Give it a thumbs up. I would love if you subscribed, and I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.